right, here we go. Hi, Natasha.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. Long time no see.
Oh my gosh, like about 3 years. Long
Yeah,
time no see.
Literally, December, 2 weeks, it'll be 3 years in like 2 weeks, I think.
I know.
2, 3
Oh my
weeks,
gosh.
yeah.
Except I ran into you at the bar one
Yeah,
time.
but we were
we were both blacked out.
very drunk.
You were just like a figure that I saw in the distance, and I could barely even recollect who it was. But
Oh my God.
but here we are. It's so nice to see you.
I know. It's so good to be here.
Cheers, babe.
So proud of you, by the way.
Thank you. Well,
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you offered to come on here and
Of course,
share
yeah.
your story. I'd love to have totally all these different types of topics and stories, and it was perfect. When you reached out, I said, absolutely, I would love to
Yeah,
have you on.
I was like, I have to be on there. It's time. It's time.
So you wanted to come on to talk about the trans community.
Yeah.
And
one of the topics, yeah.
So I feel like that when we have all these different types of people on, I love to hear like different people's perspective.
Yeah.
And I feel like, yes, of course, like there is like a big gay following. I don't want to say big, and like I just started, but like, you know, a lot of my friends and close people, like they're pretty familiar with the gay community and the LGBT. They know the T, and the LGBT is for trans, but I feel like there isn't really a lot of knowledge.
There's a disconnect, a huge disconnect from the T with the LGB, 100%.
Yeah. And it's interesting because especially with what's going on right now and politically, I feel like there's just the waters are so muddied that people don't even know like what to think or
Exactly.
And
yeah.
So I thought it would be really nice to actually hear from somebody who's been through the process, who knows the community well, and who, you know, I know you said you have like a lot of like controversial takes and things you want to talk about. So so for people that don't know, you are trans.
I am trans. Yeah, I'm a transgender woman.
So meaning
her.
you were born male.
Yep, I was born male.
And at what age did you feel like, you know, yes, I'm a boy, but I externally I'm a boy, but inside I'm not a boy.
So that's the thing. So I've always felt different and felt kind of like just super different. Like I am a boy, but am I supposed to be a boy? Since I was young, I didn't know what trans was though, you know. Growing up, I have a twin sister, so I would always play with her toys, with her Barbies.
Yeah.
I would never play with it. I would always put my mom's wigs on. I would always hang out with all the girls. That's would be my life, you know?
Yeah.
But I never knew, especially with my generation being millennial, trans wasn't even really a thing that you would throw out there. Like, it's not a thing that, you know, a 13-year-old would know from like the blink of an eye. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't a thing. So I knew I was different, but I didn't find out exactly what transgender was until I was like 15 or 16. And I met one of my old friends, Bridget, and she was the first trans woman I've ever met. And I accidentally called her like a guy because I didn't know. Yeah. That's how much I didn't know. I was like, oh, that's a guy. And then she got offended and she left. And I kind of, throughout the years we've hung out, it kind of clicked with me. And I'm like, wow, so this is a thing, you know, like I'm not alone with this. Like this is a thing, you know? So I started dibbling and dabbling and like expressing myself with wigs, with makeup, with clothing. And that kind of was a repetitive thing for me to express myself, but also kind of live a double truth as a guy as well.
Yeah.
It was hard for a fact. And we'll get into my family about like later and stuff. But yeah, I knew I was different like as a child, but I was way too young to know what trans was. So I enjoyed my childhood as a child should.
Yeah.
And I embraced being different and you know, and yeah, I knew I was different since I was younger.
Was there like a specific time that when I guess whenever you first realized like, oh, trans is a thing, being transgender, that's what I am.
I dove right into it.
Moment?
Yes, girl. I dove right into it. Like I was like, will you help me? I was like, I literally went to my girlfriend's house and she had this ugly mop wig, bitch, and it wouldn't move. It was stiff. And I was like, can I use this? And she's like, yes, girl. And then all I had was lipstick and foundation. So I put foundation on, put lipstick there and on my lips. Yeah. The guys were still calling me honey. You know what I'm saying? Like it was crazy. But I also just felt so like, you know, and like the way I eased into it was so graceful and like natural that like I knew one day I'm gonna fully transition. You know, the reason that I didn't medically transition earlier was one, because of my family and just fear of me forever losing them, because it was already hard for them seeing me dressing up, running out of the house, doing this and that. You know, it was embarrassing for them. So I've held on to that for so long that I didn't start medically inducing myself till I was 26.
Wow. And you're 28 now?
I'm 29.
29.
Yeah.
Well, not only do you look like a beautiful woman, but you look very youthful too. You have a very youthful glow and complexion. I mean, you look to me, you look like.
Yeah, and it's crazy because like I'm glad I waited.
Yeah.
Just because I kind of lived my life out and I knew that wasn't for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't abruptly just hop up as a child, especially, and just be like, I'm going to medically induce myself and do this and that. That's so harmful to the body. Like, we have to just be kids and just express ourselves in other ways without medically inducing ourselves.
Right.
You know? So it's like, I'm glad I waited because I still look the way I look. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I had trained myself throughout those years without medically inducing to grow more into my womanhood, if that makes sense. So a lot of parents are like, that are accepting with kids transitioning are like, oh, they need to do this. Like, no, they don't. They don't need to medically induce themselves in order to express who they want to be and how they feel.
Well, so it's interesting because to me, ever since I met you, to me, you've always been Natasha. Mm-hmm. I didn't know you as a boy presenting.
Yeah.
And I know this is like a term that they use in the community, but you obviously pass. Like you're passing. Mm-hmm. And for those of you that don't know, to pass basically means like you can present as a woman and the average person.
You can walk in the public eye, and you won't get clocked.
Right, basically.
Yeah.
And it's sad because I feel like there are some people that they just
no matter what
they do, they're just not going to pass. To the average person, they're just going to look like they're not like the sex they want to be.
And my heart goes out to them, you know, all of them. You know, I feel blessed, and I say it every time, that even when I was cross-dressing, when I wasn't fully trans, and I did not claim being trans, but without medically inducing or that, because there's just a certain standpoint where you have to sit back and think like, do I deserve this title yet? You know, because being trans is more than just putting a wig on and makeup and walking around and being like, I'm a girl now.
That's what it should be, though. But I feel like
there's people levels to this shit. You know what I'm saying? So passable or not, there are certain things that you go through being a real trans woman that will change your life, you know? So there's a lot of people out there that will just put a wig on and stuff and say, I'm trans just to fuck and just to have sex with men and just to do this and that. Totally. You know what I'm saying?
Well, here's my controversial take. I obviously have known quite a few trans people in my life, but I feel like in just being on Twitter and being online, there's a lot of people in there that push that if you just say you're trans, like I can fully present just the way I am. I'm obviously a man. But if I go out in the real world and I tell people online that I'm a woman, people have to respect that or else they're transphobic.
So for me,
I disagree with that.
BS. That's bullshit. Because it's like I said, if you're truly trans, there's homework you have to do, and there's some sort of like integrity you have to take where you have to sit back and work on yourself before you can walk into the world and claim that, because we're claiming something of what women really are. So we have to respect that and do our job and work on ourselves and our transition and our womanhood. And then when we feel like we're ready, we can go out to society and respectfully and gracefully do that. So that's why there's a lot of women out there that are pissed about it, because people that obviously are presenting as men are going out there saying, oh, I'm trans or I'm non-binary trans, which I will get into that as well. And then it's confusing the whole point of what trans really is. We're not here to disrespect what a man and a female are. We're just trying to live and represent how we feel.
Absolutely.
So I agree with you with that. That's definitely not right. It's like, I feel bad for people that aren't passable, but there are stages that you can take to where you can grow into your womanhood and your transition.
I agree. It's interesting too, because I see so many people on TikTok, and there's this one TikToker in particular. I don't remember the username right off the bat, but I want to use.
I know who you're going to talk about.
I want to use the he pronoun, but I know he goes as she. But she goes into society and she'll look for any possible thing to.
I know who you're talking
get
about.
on
at restaurants and stuff.
Yes, at restaurants. Like she'll tell the server, just FYI, you know, I go by she, her, and the server's like, okay, you know, like it's not an issue until she makes it an issue,
right? And so here's my opinion on that, because okay, you know, thank you for letting me know. I'll call you she, her. She has a
beard and lipstick,
right? So that's what I'm saying. It's like you can want to be called whatever you want to be called, but you can't get mad at society for seeing and calling you what they see. So even if they are apologetic, which they mostly are in each video, and this person is still going off, you can't get mad at society. You obviously aren't ready to go into society and be seen as a woman, because in reality, you don't look like a woman. Right. So what do you expect? They're going to call you a man because you look like and present like a man.
Right.
So you can't sit there and cause a scene and be mad and embarrass yourself, because at the end of the day, you're embarrassing the rest of us that work hard and hide in the fucking shadows until we're ready to go out into the public. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I agree. I feel like it does more harm than good.
Way more harm than good.
Because the average person, like, they don't want to be offensive. They don't want to.
Exactly. They're just doing their job.
Right. Or they're just never exposed to it, or they're not educated. But when they see trans in that light, which I don't think that's real trans, but you see trans in that light and they think, "Oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. Like, I can't say or do anything." Like, and then it makes them like just not want to learn.
Yeah.
Because they feel like no matter what they do, they're going to be ridiculed, they're going to be belittled, they're going to be labeled as transphobic. And so they're just like, fuck it. I'm just not going to learn. I don't want to learn because if this is what it is.
I just feel like one thing like I will never do is I'm not trying to dim this person's light. So, if you're going to claim you're trans, okay, sis, like I got you. You'll be trans, but still respect public spaces.
Yeah.
And also really take your time and dig deep and work on your transition. So if you're going out and you keep getting misgendered, what does that mean? You know what I'm saying? A normal person would sit back and think, I need to keep working on my transition. There's medical gender affirming surgeries you can do.
Yeah.
You can bump up on your hormone dosage.
Yeah.
Do whatever you need to do in order to present in society to be called what you want to be called.
Right.
So it's like, I'm not going to denounce and say you're not trans. Okay, I'll say she's trans, but do your work.
Yeah.
Do your work. None of us, the prettiest of prettiest trans girls, never would just pop a wig on and say I'm trans. You know what I'm saying? We all did our work, and it was not easy. It was definitely a journey. And once you get through that journey, then your head switches and you realize, wow, I'm pissed right now that this person is doing this and saying they're trans, especially when they're really not trans.
Right.
It hits you different when you've actually been through the journey and the process and the hardships. It's like, who the fuck are you to say that and do that? You don't know anything.
Well, and I feel like people have been conditioned to, mostly people that
they don't want
online.
Cancel culture. They don't want to be canceled.
Exactly. And it's mostly people that are chronically online. But people have been conditioned to say, like, doesn't matter if they present as a woman. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters as long as if they say they're a woman, even if they have a beard, even if they look and present like a man, that's it. They're trans because that's what they said. And we all. I'm
sorry, that's wild to me. Cancel me. I don't care. I don't care. That's wild to me. Like I said, I don't want to dim your light. So if you say you're trans, that's cool. But go and work on your womanhood. Go and work on your transness. Don't just go into open spaces and disrupt it and disrupt what womanhood really is. I'm going to just mute when I say that, what womanhood really is, because that's disrespecting actual woman at the end of the day. Because they're like, you're sitting up here saying you're a woman? Like, when you obviously look like that, if somebody asks, hey, can you move my furniture? They're going to ask you before me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like, go and work on it, boo. And then when you're ready, and if you need help, this is why we're here. The older sisters that have been through the journey to help you out. But don't sit there and embarrass us. It's embarrassing me, to be honest, because it's like...
I get it. I understand.
Yeah. And I respect women to the core. Like, my job is to really show them, like, we're not a virus. You know what I'm saying? Like, all we want to do is live in our truth and walk this earth as respectable women. You know what I'm saying? So my goal is to walk this earth as a respectable woman. And I want women to look up at me and say, that is a woman.
Yeah.
Thank you for walking this earth respectably. That's it.
Well, in the same way, I mean, I know it's different if you're trans. I feel like you have to put in extra work to fit in as a woman.
Extra
but
work, yeah. But that's women, part of the job. It's part of it.
Right. But people that were born women and present themselves as women, if they put in work to make themselves look nice as well. It's not like you're going into the world. I mean, there are obviously people that don't, but if you want to be taken seriously in the world, like, you put it work in yourself regardless of your gender.
If you want to get taken seriously, do the work.
Yeah.
Do the work. And it's so rewarding. Like, I thought it was passable. Like, when you met me, honey, I'm looking at those pictures. I'm like, oh, girl, crazy. But it's like people that weren't as passable as me that I've known, that are transitioned in there now, they're so happy.
Yeah.
Hormones alone will do wonders on you. You know what I'm saying? Just work with your doctor. If they need to up your hormones, do whatever, do it. And then you can get your surgeries, do whatever, but it's not easy. It's not an easy road.
People that are trans, they experience a medical condition it's called dysphoria, gender dysphoria.
Yeah, gender dysphoria, body dysmorphia.
That is like the clinical term for the way that's the way you feel. Like if you were born a male, but you're feeling that you're a woman in every other sense, like besides physically, I mean, that's gender dysphoria. So people don't understand too, like being transgender, I mean, it's medically definable. And I feel like that should play a role.
Plays a huge role.
Whether or not
it's huge role. I always tell people like, okay, so I'm going to get to the non-binary part then now, because there's a lot of people that try and put all of these things under a trans umbrella when really nothing will fit under. I don't even think we have an umbrella. It's just trans men and trans women, you know? Right. I always say, especially for like trans non-binary people, you can take that off. I can't take this off.
Yeah.
So that's like the hugest of differences, you know, like, and also I can look down at my genitals and want to throw up, and you can live perfectly happy and fine with it. You know, like there's a sort of disruption in your head that goes on, and that's your body dysmorphia and your trans dysphoria, you know, gender dysphoria. So it's like, it really upsets me that people want to throw all of this stuff under trans to just confuse trans even more.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because trans have always been getting the worst end of the broomstick. Mm-hmm. We don't have it easy with the gay community. We don't have it easy with the straight community. So we don't really have a community to rely on. And then with just trans, especially trans women, we're always fighting each other. It's always jealousy. It's always this and that. So it's like, you know, at one point I'm like, I'm just not by myself. You know, I was like, I have no community. I have no nothing. Like, but the more I grew into my womanhood and my transition, I found love in all spaces. But yeah, I definitely feel for a lot of trans women out in the world, especially the ones that are just starting up but doing what they have to do. Mm-hmm. I feel you, because I'm like, they're probably feeling so alone, because it's like the gays and like all the community, they need to realize like trans people, we do go through the most.
Right.
We go through the most mentally, physically, emotionally, and publicly.
Well, and that's not something that anyone would understand unless they're trans. Because even as a gay man, I never once thought like I'm a woman. I always knew that I'm just a man, I'm a guy, but I'm also into guys. But I never once thought like, you know, I'm a woman.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's hard for people. It's so hard for, especially when they're not in the community. It's just hard for people to understand.
I love that you say that, because it's fine, because it's our job to explain it gently and respectfully explain and give you the knowledge. Because I always tell people, like, bashers and people who are rude to you, pay it no mind, because it's just ignorance.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I have changed so many minds in Temecula already.
Yeah.
From me being a trans woman, I know this is possible, you know, and I know this is what I was created for, you know, is I will be the voice, and I will take the punches in order for people to just take the time to really understand what trans is, instead of going on Google and looking at the worst fucking things in the world.
Well, and that's, you know what, you raise a really good point there too, because like I said before, the people that are just online and they're looking for a problem, it's doing more harm than good, because it's turning people away that don't have the knowledge.
Exactly.
Instead of, you know, treating them with kindness and love and respect and educating them, it's belittling them, and it's telling them, you're fucked up, you're transphobic, and you're gonna accept me, and it just is what it is.
And I get it. It's hard, you know, to kind of put yourself in another person's shoes and just calm down and take the punches and then explain. Not everybody can do it. Not everyone's made for it, but I know I can do it. I've done it with my mom all my life, my family all my life.
Yeah.
And being patient, you know, change will come. Yeah. You know, so it's like, just educate and just show them I am a respectable human being, and I want you to get to know me, you know?
Absolutely. So what was when you realized that you were trans and you decided to go the whole way and do the medical transition, those medications are gnarly.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
What was the medical aspect of it like because to me, like I said, you always presented as women to me.
Yeah.
I always knew you as Natasha. Mm-hmm. And even at that point, I didn't even know that you hadn't done the full medical transition.
Yeah.
To me, you were already it for me, you know? So when you decided to bite the bullet and really fully medically transition, that changes so many parts of your body. It's
insane.
from what
It's
I've
wild.
read. So what was that process like?
Thank God for Justin, for my boyfriend, because he was my rock. He was my rock, and he is one of the reasons why I started medically transitioning, because he finally told me, you know, it's time for you to choose you. You know, it's like, it's time for you to get it going. You know, you've chosen your family over and over again. It's time for you to choose you. So once I started, it was a rocky roller coaster. My mind was everywhere. My emotions were everywhere. My nipples hurt. My boobs hurt. You know, like everything was changing, but it was working. You know, so the first 6 months, I couldn't even drink. Wow. Just one sip of alcohol. And I was an alcoholic, bitch. You knew me before. So it's like, I couldn't even have.
I don't know. I couldn't do it.
I mean, girl, I thought the same thing. But it's like, you know, one drink and I would get nauseated, you know? So it's like,
Thank God that passed.
I know. It's like, sorry, babe. I did get healthier in a way because of that. But also, it was just a mind fuck for me because like everything was changing with my emotions and with how I react to things, with how I feel about things, everything. But it was worth it. Just like I'll tell all the trans girls that are coming up, the first 6 months might be a little rocky on moans, but just keep to it. Yeah. You know, your nipples won't hurt forever.
Wow. Yeah. And so it changes. I mean, it changes every aspect of you. I mean,
everything.
I didn't know. I mean, it makes sense, but if you're taking estrogen, I mean, it changes your
hormones. Hormones change it. Hormones for sure change how you react, how you deal with things, when you cry, when you don't cry.
Wow.
When your boobs hurt, when they get itchy. Yeah. I'm telling you, it's like, it's beautiful in a way as well.
Can I ask you about surgeries?
Yeah. So the only surgery I had was my face. So the boob growth is hormones.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I grew a lot of like fat in my hips and stuff. But I did get FFS. So I got almost the full FFS. So I got my nose done.
Facial feminization.
Facial feminization. Yeah. Facial reconstruction. Facial feminization reconstruction surgery.
Yeah.
So I got my nose, I got my forehead shaved down, brow bone shaved down, hairline brought down a bit, and it opened up my eyes. I was gonna get jaw and chin, but I said no because I wasn't super uncomfortable with how my face looked after hormones. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I didn't want to lose that definition of who Natasha was,
right?
And look like every other bitch with like a fucking. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I told my doctor last minute. I was like, okay, exit out the chin and jaw. I'm like, I will get everything but that and.
Who'd you go to?
Yeah, Dr. Lou with Kaiser.
Okay.
In San Diego. Yeah, he did a great job.
Wow. No, he did an amazing job.
Yeah, he did really, really good. So definitely, that's the only surgery I've had.
Do you? And you don't have to answer if you don't want to. But do you ever plan on doing a bottom surgery?
100%.
And that's like an intense surgery.
That's when I will be 100% at peace with myself. I can't even comfortably like have sex. Because I don't want that touched. I don't want that looked at. I don't want that. I don't want it. I feel like me personally, I would even get more turned on if I looked down and I saw my vagina there.
Wow.
Yeah.
What is I'm sure you've done a lot of research on it. I've seen
a ton. Yeah. I know. And I've had girlfriends that have had the surgery. Yeah. It's intense. Yeah. It is the biggest surgery and most risky surgery in all surgeries for trans. Yeah.
What's holding you back?
It's a huge surgery. So I have other surgeries that I want to do before that.
Okay.
Like boobs and maybe body. I'm not sure yet. But also, it's a huge surgery.
Yeah.
So it's super scary. And I just want to make sure that I am mentally freaking ready. And I have, luckily, a man that's with me that is patient and that loves me regardless if I have it or not. But this is for me. Like, this surgery is for me. And I made sure to ask him, too, like, are you still going to love me once I have my vagina? And he's like, of course, because there's a lot of men out there that are with the girls for a fantasy or that are with the girls that have that extra thing, you know, because if that's not the case, then they could just go with any other girl.
Well, Justin isn't that. You guys have been together for 3 years.
Exactly.
You guys have been together a while.
He's been with me since I was a crazy fucking wild bitch.
So what year was it that let me back up. When you were an adult and you knew that you were a trans woman, did you always present that way? Like, did you, even when you were, you know,
Are we talking like before I started medically inducing myself?
Yes. Yeah, like when I knew you, you were still technically...
I wanted to be trans, yeah. Right. But I was not medically induced. So the thing is, I didn't...
So you didn't consider...
I called myself a cross-dresser.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So, but would you still go into society male presenting at that time?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
That's what I'm saying. I didn't call myself trans because I could still... At the end of the day, I wanted to take it all off and like I felt like I was disrespecting a lot of my trans girlfriends by doing that Because I'll be honest, when I was younger, like 16, 17 doing it, I would say I was trans and they would get pissed because they were like, no, you're not, you know?
Yeah.
And so.
See, there needs to be more people that are telling the other girls like,
yeah,
no, you're not,
and
bitch.
it's okay. It's okay to be a cross-dresser until you're ready to, you know, fully like medically transition. But it's like, I'm not going to talk for other people, but for me, I didn't start personally saying I was trans until I fully started my transition. When I say fully, I worked at Starbucks at the time. When I fully started, I used to go to work as a boy, but then I started wearing my wigs at work and makeup at work. And even though to me, I looked like a hot mess, I was still respected in a way. I still had some crazy looks, but I decided to go into public and really go for it.
Right.
You know, at work, at everything. Like before, I would just go and creep into the night as a woman.
Yeah.
You know, so this was different. Like after I started my hormone therapy, I was like, it's time, you know, it's time for me to really get into the battlefield and really do it. And it was the hardest, but also most rewarding thing I've ever done.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so happy and proud of you. I love that for you.
Thank you.
I think, you know what? Regardless of what it is in life, I mean, you want to just feel loved and accepted.
Yeah, at the end of the day.
And if anybody that feels like they don't feel comfortable or right in their own skin, and that's why I'm a big proponent for everyone's like, you know, I don't think people need plastic surgery. And like, I think if whatever you want to do, if you want to dress however you want to dress,
right, if it makes you happy, do it.
Do what you want to do.
Just be a respectable human being, and just respect your surroundings as well. You know, and also it's hard. I'm trying to teach a lot of people, especially in my community, like sometimes you've got to sit down and like take yourself out of your shoes and put it in their shoes and just realize they're ignorant.
Yeah.
And all they know is blasphemy from things that are also ignorant. So it's like, if we take time to just take the punches, but sit back and say, okay, can I talk now?
Yeah.
Let me show you who I really am.
Right.
You know, don't fight
and
fire
that
with
does
fire.
And that does more.
It does way more. And sometimes they might not.
Defensive.
Sometimes they might not turn, but if you keep at it, it could happen.
Right.
You know.
Well, and this, I mean, if you go back, I mean, this is what the gays went through.
Yeah.
You know?
And all of us. And that's another thing that makes me upset, because I've had really bad situations at like restaurants with gay servers or gay bars or gay clubs, like not being served or anything like that for being trans. And it's like, trans people, it's crazy, right?
Ridiculous.
It's crazy, but I'm serious. I went to Hamburger Mary's and it was in LA. It took our server 40 minutes just to come and greet us.
What is the rationale behind that? I don't what is. I
personally, this is like a hater comment that I just think, but it's probably not true. I hope it's not true, but I just think that they're jealous that we get straight men and that we get other experiences that they wish they could get. And it's like, I'm sorry, but like.
Well, those are the kind of gays that actually give the gays a bad name. I
mean, me too. And it's like, at the end of the day, trans people were in front of the fight lines during the AIDS epidemic and everything, fighting for all of our rights. Trans people were doing that, especially black trans people in New York, everywhere. So it's like, for us to do that and then for this to happen, you know, you got to really sit back and know where you came from.
Yeah.
Because you weren't the only people fighting for your rights, you know?
That is so ridiculous to think that, you know, to be
it was crazy.
Discriminated against as a trans woman, but from
girl,
the gay
after
community.
that experience, it changed everything in me. And then when we left the restaurant, we didn't eat, we left. Somebody threw something at us outside of their car driving past us. It was two gay guys and they threw something at me and my friend Chanel.
What the fuck?
Yes. I'm telling you, and I was like, where are we? Like, I thought we were like in the gay, like, where the fuck is going on?
Mississippi? Like,
so that's why I feel more comfortable for me and with my experiences going to straight bars and straight clubs. And that's like where I usually hang out at.
As a trans woman,
yeah,
there's a lot of, just I guess in politics right now, there's just a lot of talk and a lot of conversations being had about trans people.
Yeah.
And I want your opinion on some of these like hot button issues. So, trans in the military, what's your opinion on that?
Trans should definitely be in the military. They've been in the military for years. That's the thing that they want to get pulled out of the military is ridiculous. If they feel in their soul and heart they could do it, they should be able to do it and fight for our country. Anybody in America should fight for our country. Everybody has the right to do so.
I think the argument is that it's when you're on the hormones, it's I guess hard to ship the hormones to the front lines. Or I mean, what is the argument against trans?
I honestly I haven't dug deep into that because it's never been an issue before. So it's like. It's a bit shock. I've heard of it, but it was shocking to me. And I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. I just feel like we're just getting shit on and they just want to disinclude us in everything.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, Just because we're on hormones doesn't mean that we can't do anything. You know, like it just takes more perseverance and it takes more, you know, we can do it. Leave the trans people alone that want to be in the military. Just let them fight for the country. It's not that big of a deal.
What about trans women playing in women's sports?
That's a big no-no for me. Trans women should not be in women's sports just because biologically it's just not fair. You know, hormones can weaken us down to a certain point, but and cancel me if you want. I'll still love you from afar, but it's like if we want to be included, and let's start making some events where it's a trans-dominated sport or where we can do it for like trans women and trans men. I just don't personally think that I would throw a trans man in the ring with a real biological man, or a trans woman in the ring with a biological woman, or with anything else like that. I just, for me, that's just a no-no for me.
Yeah. What about trans women in bathrooms?
So that goes back to what I was talking about before. You have to really be aware of your public surroundings and make sure that you're respectable with it as well. So, I even would go into the guys' bathroom sometimes in the beginning when I felt I wasn't really ready to do that, just because I wanted to respect everyone else and woman in their space, because that is their space. That is a woman's space, you know? So if you're going in the bathroom and a whole bunch of women are feeling uncomfortable, I don't think you should be there, you know?
Yeah.
And if you've worked on your transition and you're at a point where in society you can be called the woman that you are, then going into the women's bathroom shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah. And that's still, I guess that falls into also like if you're not passing, that's got to be tough.
And it's tough
because you don't have that problem.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's tough, but it's the truth.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? That should give you a bigger push to work on your transition. And I'm probably gonna get canceled by a lot of people, but it's like I don't care. It's like at the end of the day, my job is not to disrupt the frequency of what's going on already, like within the world. Which is, I respect men, I respect women.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like me walking into a woman's bathroom, I knew I was ready to do so. And now if I walk into a man's bathroom, it would look like I don't belong there.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right.
So it's like, work on your transition and you'll be able to go into the woman's bathroom and vice versa. It's that simple.
And what about, I think this is the biggest hot button issue of them all, but kids transitioning.
For me, I feel, and I am like a truth with me medically inducing myself at a later age. You don't have to force pills down your kid's throat in order for them to live their truth until they get to a certain age to medically transition. I don't agree with kids medically transitioning at a very young age. I think they need to be kids and just let them express themselves the way they feel. So if they want to grow their hair out and wear dresses and do this and that, and even hers fine, you know?
Right.
You don't need to medically induce them because
the argument is, I mean, you can't get a tattoo without parents' consent until you're 18.
Yeah.
You can't join the military. I mean, you can't do anything
until you're going to medically induce your child with crazy hormones that really in your body is not even all the way done developing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I will never, ever be okay with kids medically transitioning. It's like, take your time, be a child, express yourself, do what you have to do. You can still grow into your womanhood without transitioning. You're a kid.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, for parents to just be A-okay with that is a problem for me. Kids should not be transitioning. You have more than enough time to make those decisions on your own when you get older. More than enough time.
I agree. So and I feel like, I mean, to me, that should be just like, that should be a no-brainer.
Common sense.
That should be a no-brainer. It's
common sense. You should not be doing that. And this is not me canceling any of that. You can express yourself in ways that can still protect your mind and your body, especially as a child.
I mean, well, could you imagine as an 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old
taking hormones?
Well, not only that, but making, even besides the hormone thing, but can you imagine as a 10-year-old making a decision that's going to affect you for the rest of your life?
No. Not at all. No. That is the age where you need to learn and you need to experience and you need to find yourself more, because half of the time they change their mind and they don't want to transition. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be a child. You have to make those experiences, meet different people, and find yourself.
Well, that's the other thing too. And that's kind of not just for kids, but there is a percentage of trans people that afterwards detransition.
Yeah.
I don't know what the percentage is, but it's a few. I personally know a trans person that was a trans woman, born a man.
I don't know the percentage either, but it's not low. It's probably not low. So,
what do you think the cause of that is? I guess I wouldn't say cause, but I mean, do you think those maybe are the people that
they detransitioned because they were never trans to begin with? That was the cause. They detransitioned because when they were trans, it was just
it was a state of confusion. Maybe.
It was a season for them.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It was a day, a season, a reason, and then that was it. You know, like they were not truly trans.
Or do you think maybe that they were maybe just cross-dressing, or
they were experimenting?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And that's another thing, that you shouldn't medically induce yourself until you're ready, until you're for sure ready. I started at 26. People are scared to do that because they're like, oh, I'm going to grow and get all this and that. I worked on my womanhood for those 10 years.
Yeah.
I did what I had to do. I worked on my womanhood. And when I started, I would go to trans events and they would think that I was on hormone therapy for 10 plus years. Wow. And I would say, no, I just started this year. Huh?
Yeah.
But mentally, I started years ago.
Yeah.
So that's the huge difference. You don't have to medically induce yourself in order to get where you need to be. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You'll know when the time comes where you need to do it as an adult. But children should not be doing it. Not in my book.
I agree.
Experiment. Take your time. Experience. Do things. Dress and all that stuff. But take care of your body and, just don't medically induce yourself until you're at least 18.
And leave the kids alone.
Right. Leave the kids alone. Let them play outside. Let them do their thing. Till the lights turn on. They can come inside. Or I think the kids nowadays are on the games, right? So they'll be on the games and do what you got to do, but just, no, they don't need hormones, babe. You don't even have bills. What are you doing?
I love that. Well, I love the insight coming from a trans person because that's the thing, where especially, a lot of people, they don't personally know a trans person. They don't know, they've never maybe even encountered a trans person in their life.
Right.
So to hear from somebody that has gone through it, somebody that is trans, that has gone through that, done the transition, I think is super important. So I love that you.
Thank you.
I love for.
And I want to add one more thing on the child thing as well. But also, there has been kids who have wanted to commit suicide, and I think that's because the parents shut it down, but also shut down their expression of how they want to express themselves. Yeah. So if kids are welcome, that kind of runway to just live their truth and express themselves in style and fashion and makeup and physical expression, which is what it is. Yeah. I feel like there'd be less suicides and less this and that. But they would also know by that age, do I want to start medically inducing myself or not? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to throw that in there as well. Like there's other ways to work on your womanhood and your transition without medically inducing yourself as a child.
So another thing that I loved watching, was so interested in, you were maybe about a year ago on an episode of Dr. Pimple Popper with Sandra Lee. Yeah. How was that? That looked like so fun. It's so funny. I had a couple friends living with me at the time, and I was like, oh my gosh, my friend was on Dr. Pimple Popper, because I years ago would watch all the YouTube videos of her. I found it so satisfying. All that deep. I love that. So, and I saw your episode, and I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, it was an experience.
How did you? Well, why don't you tell everyone, what you went in for, what the surgery was?
Yeah, so I basically had 2 keloids on both ears. Mm-hmm. So keloid on this ear, keloid on this ear, and I had my friend Rianne and Bridget, they had wrote me and they were like, you've gotta just write the casting page, just see if they'll reply, just send pictures, say your story, trans, da 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 da. I'm like, fuck it, I'll do it. So I did it. No shit, they wrote back like an hour later.
Wow.
And then they said...
Their producers are on it.
Yeah. And they said, email this to our actual casting email and we're going to get started. And literally within like a few weeks after that, we were already plotting scenes and this and that. And we spent a few months filming. Mm-hmm. And it was the most
months filming?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, months. Mm-hmm.
So what do you mean months filming? Because
it's only one episode, but we filmed so much that wasn't shown on TV. So much. So
because they come and they do the everything. Testimonial of you sitting in your house and and then obviously the recovery.
Yes. Okay, that's they kind of do it in spurts, like one day a week or something, and like they gather all of the film together and then they just choose like the little scenes that they want. So there's a lot of scenes that we've done that I didn't see, but it was a great experience, and that also helped me with my transition. because before I would just have my locks and it would hide my keloids.
Yeah.
And oh my God, I think that was like the biggest that my dysmorphia was. I couldn't even walk into grocery stores or this and that. And I wasn't even working at the time because I was so focusing on my name change and going through the process and the journey, you know, of being trans. I was hiding myself, you know, so it's like, which was sad, but you know, I did it. So after that, having the surgery changed my life. Dr. Lee changed my life, and she's the sweetest human being. I literally cried on the last day of filming because the crew was just freaking great, and I have her number personally. So she said, like, if it grows back or if anything happens, she wants to come see me. They loved me. But
when they film pretty close to where you live also.
Yeah.
It's in
like an hour away.
Yeah.
So, like, it was great, but it was a great experience, and, like, I still watch it at least, like, 1 or twice a year.
Yeah.
Like, I already watched it once this year and bawled my eyes out just because of the growth that I've been through from that to now. It's, like, it's really cool to have something, like, on screen where I can just look up and just watch
we'll put a link somewhere in the description so everyone can go take a look. You definitely have
just
to take a
remember
look.
how I look now because I don't look like No, but yeah, it was a great experience. Like, for sure.
That is so cool. She is nice.
That she's not the TV screen does her no justice. She's really like this in real life. Yeah. She's amazing. She's amazing.
Wow. So how was that? Because I didn't even know that you had the keloids when I knew, because you had them at that time, obviously, but you just
oh no,
well.
I actually didn't.
No,
so they grew within 1 year of living in Temecula. They grew rapidly,
really
fast, like super fast, and I was like, this is so weird. Like,
yeah, had you been to a different doctor before?
Yeah, so I've had keloids before and got them removed from Dr. Nakla. He's a world-renowned doctor, and he's in Orange County.
Okay.
And he removed them the first time, but we didn't do radiation therapy because that's a new kind of treatment now.
Yeah.
And so they grew back when I was in Temecula really, really fast. Like in the show, I say vengeful.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I panicked at how fast they grew, and they grew back double the size.
Wow. Did they both started growing at the same time?
Same time.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing ever since Dr. Lee?
Nothing. Ever since after radiation, Dr. Lee hooked me up, honey.
Wow.
Nothing grew back.
Well, and so I'm assuming because you're filming, you don't have to pay out of pocket for the surgery, do you?
It was all free.
Wow.
All free. Accommodation was free. Everything was free.
And do you get paid an appearance fee as well?
No, but that fucking appearance fee, bitch, just get the shit off my face.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm sure it's worth it for sure.
I'm like, girl, I'll give you money. Like, just get it off. Get it off me. But it was just such a blessing. I just felt so seen.
Yeah.
But also, it was wild because I remember the first scene that we had recorded was confessionals, basically just my life and all that stuff, and having all those.
And they send a camera crew to you, and
yes, and having all those cameras in my face and actually having it coming into fruition, like, this is going to be on TV for the world to see. Yeah. And I'm bearing some of the most crazy, like, things in my heart. I cried.
Yeah.
Horrifically. Like, they had to stop and, like,
really?
Are you okay? Yeah, because I was like, whoa, this is weird. Like, it's like cameras will bring it out of you, but also when, like, it really hits you.
You just needed a cocktail before.
Girl. Literally.
Yeah.
But, like, it hit me because, like, I was, like, scared.
Yeah.
I was really scared because, one, living in Temecula, that is a conservative city, you know, and
it's Trump town.
Jesus Christ. It's Trump town, you know? So it's like, I was just nervous, but also I was like, you got to do this. You got to do this. You can't back out now. You got to do this, you know?
Right.
So still to this day, I'll have people come up to me from reruns and be like, you were on Dr. Pimple Popper? And I'm like, yeah.
So people will recognize you just from that one?
Especially at the wineries. Can I have a picture with you, or can I have a hug?
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, yeah.
That is so cool.
I'm like, wow, that episode is so embarrassing to me. I look disgusting, but also I'm glad I did it because a lot of
I love that you were so vulnerable though to put that out there.
It was so hard. It was so hard, boo.
But I love that. And I watched it. I saw your post on Instagram about it, and I set it on my DVR.
Yeah.
And I had a few friends, and we watched it.
Yeah. And me and my mom still weren't really good, like the way we are now. So
yeah, it's
like she watched it, and the first thing she texted me was, "I love you."
Oh.
And I was like, okay, cool.
And then when was that? Was last year?
Last year, it aired last year in July.
Okay.
Right after my birthday.
And so when how far out did they film it before?
So it was supposed to air this year, girl.
Oh.
But they rushed it, and they pushed our episode in. We stopped filming in March and it aired in July.
Wow. Okay.
They were like, we need to put this out now. Yeah. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, let me get my viewing party ready. Let me text everybody. I was like, this is great. Cause I'm an impatient ass bitch. So I'm like, this is great. But I loved it. Like the experience was everything. Like I want to be on TV more.
Wow.
It was great.
Well, this is good for you to be on here. Hopefully
I know.
Hopefully we, someday we get a
you will.
big following.
Manifestation.
I love it. So what is the main takeaway for somebody that's watching who is unfamiliar or just not super well informed in the trans community? I mean, what is the takeaway to a layperson that's just unfamiliar with the trans community, and what is it that you want somebody to know, to be open-minded?
I guess just we are people. At the end of the day, we all bleed the same. And just be patient with us and be kind. A lot of us are still finding ourselves and are still wandering and still just trying to live. I think at the end of the day, we just want to be loved and accepted. And it's, for some reason, it's always been a fight. So, just be patient and just willing to learn.
Yeah.
And just don't go on Google and look up crazy things. Like I think find a friend that's trans, or find a friend that is experienced, and like if you really sit down and like really get to know like what's going on and harboring inside, I feel like it would kind of broaden your horizons a bit. Because at the end of the day, like I said, we're all people and we all deserve to live. We all deserve to be happy. We all deserve to be loved. We all deserve to have a family. We all deserve to work and have, high paying jobs. We all deserve everything. So just kind of lead your life with love and put yourself in other people's shoes and look at the whole picture and not just what you believe in.
Right.
And it will change your whole horizons. Sometimes it's really difficult, but at the end of the day, like it'll just make you a great person inside and out.
I love that. And anybody can find Natasha. Go in the description of this video. You can find all her information. I'm sure she'd be willing to answer any question that you may have.
Yeah. 100%.
And I just want to thank you so much for coming on here and reaching out to me and wanting to come on. It was so sweet. And I'm so happy to have you. And this was such a great conversation. I
know. This was freaking amazing.
And so nice to see you again. It's been way too long.
I know.
So
we'll have cocktails soon.
Let's do it, babe. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Cheers.